So good morning again, everybody, and you're very welcome. Thanks for joining us for this, our second webinar in our Brexit series. And today, as you know, we're going to be looking at the MedTech sector and at Brexit and the implications and what steps you'll need to take to ensure you're ready for January 2021. So as you may know, there are just 93 days remaining until the end of the transition period. And this morning, the 9th round of negotiations got underway in Brussels between the UK and the EU. So we'll be watching those very, very closely. We're going to be discussing the future of CE marking in particular, accessing markets and the responsibilities of the importer with respect to Brexit and the MedTech sector. So our panelists this morning are Colm O'Rourke, who oversees industry engagement for NSAI's Medical Devices Division. Thanks for being here, Colm. And Seamus Kelly of B, Braun Hospicare Ltd, who are based in Colm in County Sligo. So thank you both again for being with us this morning, giving us your time. Just to give everybody a quick run through as well, what we're going to do today is we'll begin by hearing from Seamus, and then we're going to hand over to Colm. And after that, we should have plenty of time for a Q&A. So any questions, please feel free. We love to hear from our participants, actually. So if you'd like to have questions during their presentations, please pop them in the chat, and we'll do our very best to get through those afterwards. So we're going to run today to 45 minutes, so I guess we better get started. So without further ado, I guess we'll hand over to you, Seamus, if you want to share your screen there, and we'll kick off. Thank you.
So, okay, I'm going to give you an introduction of where we are, Braun Hospicare Ltd, and a discussion of what we've experienced ourselves over the last couple of years in relation to once we were aware of this. I'm the quality manager in Braun Hospicare, worked in medical devices for 20 years. We'll go through just a bit about who we are, and then kind of looking at our experiences from shipment of finished goods, raw materials, and the quality management system impacts. So Braun Hospicare Ltd, we design and manufacture chronic wound care products. We offer more than single wound dressings. We offer a unique combination of technologies to focus on wound infection, exudate management, and skin care. We are a centre of excellence in the field for the B Braun Group. We're located, as Deirdre pointed out, in Colm in County Sligo, Ireland. Hospicare has been in operation in Sligo since 1984. It started with ostomy products, and then 4 years later moved into wound care. And in 1992, it was bought by B Braun Group, and we've been working with them ever since. So for us, when we looked at Brexit, the first thing that we had to look at was the impact of our finished product goods. We're part of the B Braun Medical Group, which is headquartered in Melsungen, Germany, and Sligo site uses the main distribution processes of the corporate group. So therefore, the majority of our shipments from Sligo are directly into Germany rather than into any other country, and they're distributed from there globally. Braun Hospicare, originally we were shipping routes were through the UK, so the moment we were aware of Brexit, we changed those routes so that there was no impact to products getting to market. So we ship now through France, and again, an additional cost to be able to do that, but that was to avoid any issues with the products trying to go through the land bridge through the UK. From our raw materials and in Hospicare, we do have a good few suppliers of raw materials based in the UK. We are working on and have been working on this to ensure the supply of materials. And still for us, there's a lot of unknown of what will happen. Trying to get our suppliers to get information back to us is an ongoing struggle. We have some suppliers who have had to update their quality management system certificates as well. They were unsure of what they needed to do, so they made sure that they had certifications from EU entity notified bodies that would be just for their own quality management systems. And they just had also, again, change of locations. So in some cases, some of our suppliers of raw materials actually will have now offices in Europe so they can maintain their business. One of our examples is we buy chemicals from the multinational DowCorning, where we have the UK and Ireland headquarters based in England. And working with them, we thought we originally could place the order and it would be shipped from Europe into us, but now recently we've had to move to a European office, which then required us to update our supplier questionnaires, updating our approved vendors list on site. And for us, there's been a lot of our supplier management paperwork to track all of these changes, and again through our change control process to ensure if we needed to notify anything to our notified body, the NSAI, that they would be informed if it's a critical supplier change. What we did find very much when MDR came along with Brexit is that they nearly became one project. They are so mixed together that for us, that we noticed that our manufacturing processes that we would have contracted with some of our UK suppliers meant that we had to move from contract manufacturing to where they would become the legal manufacturers of the product. The quality management updates to these suppliers to MDR, as Brexit means they're no longer part of the EU. Examples would have been for companies in the UK that we'd contracted and they moved from the BSI UK to the BSI in the Netherlands. As part of that move from contract manufacturing, we then are going to be under MDR being distributors. So we have built products to make sure we can go through the MDD to MDR transition. But again, a lot more updates in relation to commercial and quality agreements. What you were defining was a responsibility between us. So the Brexit had a big impact for us on MDR. And a lot of our work now is artwork and understanding if we are a legal manufacturer or a distributor in line with that. And for us, the workload has been significant over the last 2 years and is still ongoing. Again, we have a lot of uncertainty. Other items that we've just recently, yesterday, is trying to confirm with our sterilization provider where they would do our dose audits for us, that they can actually keep providing this service. So Steris, we work with the group in Tullamore, but they also use the Elgin site in the UK. And what we're looking for them is written confirmation that there won't be a disruption to our sterilization services that we're using for them. Again, for us, we're still at this point even nervous if we've captured everything, but a lot of it is to do with keeping constant communication with our suppliers, whether it's raw materials or if it's in relation to contracts. For us, that's what we've experienced up to this point, and that's me covered here. If there's any questions.
Okay, well, thank you, Seamus. I'm sure there are plenty of questions, but we're hoping we can wait to the end for that. So what we'll do is we'll hand over to Colm now. Colm, if you're ready to share your screen. Thank you.
Yep, no problem. Thank you. Okay. Lovely. So hopefully you're all seeing my screen.
Looking good there, Colm.
Okay, excellent. So thank you, Dee, and thank you, Seamus. That was really interesting to get from the manufacturer's point of view what's happening. So as Deirdre said at the start, my name is Colm O'Rourke. I'm the Industry Engagement Officer for NSAI, based in our Galway office. And I would have spent a lot of time last year talking about Brexit, same as everyone else did, and we seem to have had a break for a few months. Not that COVID was a break, but we weren't talking about Brexit at least. So now we certainly are, with the 1st of January 2021 looming as our deadline. So I've quite a bit to cover today, and I suppose just a content warning at the start. There's a lot of detail in my slides, but they're going to be made available to you. So anyone that has registered is going to get a copy of both Seamus's and my slides after today. But I didn't want to leave the detail light, because I suppose there is a lot of information around the markings and the timings and what can be allowed. So I wanted to put it all in the presentation, and then we'll try and talk around it and do our best to make a little bit of sense of it. So I have 4 broad areas. I'm
going to just jump in there, Colm, before you. Just the sound is a little bit coming in and out, so if you maybe sit slightly closer to the screen.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yep. Let me know if that is better.
That's sounding much better. Thank you.
Lovely. Thanks, Dee. So I was saying we're going to cover 4 broad areas. The first one being UK registration. So what do you have to do to register your device with the MHRA? What's the timing around that? And then UK responsible person implications. Market access we're going to talk about as well. So this is predominantly around certification and the UKCA Mark and all these new lovely areas. We're going to talk about the importer as well in this section.
So I was just mentioning the Northern Irish section it's particularly difficult in terms of understanding the specific requirements. So we'll do our best to look at that. I think, to be honest, what we have now, we have more questions than answers, but look, we have to start with the questions. And then finally, we'll have a look at the future and potentially what any future regulatory landscape might look like. Okay, so UK registration, and I just bring your attention first off to let you know that the content for my presentation today has come from MHRA guidance, which was published on the 1st of September. So that's available on their website. And I'd advise to definitely take a look at that in terms of a source material. So from the 1st of January 2021, any device, IVD or custom-made device is going to need to be registered with the MHRA before being placed on the market in Great Britain. And you're going to notice me referring to requirements for Great Britain as opposed to for the UK, because Great Britain and Northern Ireland have slightly different requirements. So when I talk about Great Britain, I'm talking about England, Scotland and Wales. Okay, so the following timelines apply in order to register your device. So this is not new information. We would have probably seen this before, but for the highest risk devices, there's 4 months. So for your active implantables, your class 3 devices, you have 4 months to register with the MHRA. For the medium risk devices, you've got 8 months. So your 2As or your 2B non-implantables, you've got 8 months to register. And then finally, for the lowest risk, so general class 1 devices, IVD self-certs, you've got 12 months to register. So following on from that, I suppose, is who does the registration. What we're talking about here is if you're a manufacturer not based in the UK, you're going to need to appoint a UK responsible person. And again, this information didn't just come out, on the 1st of September. We've known this for quite a while now. The timeline for appointing a UK responsible person is the same as that for device registration, because of course it will be your UK responsible person that registers your devices on your behalf with the MHRA. And the role of the UK responsible person is quite similar to that of an authorized rep. So many people in the industry will be familiar with an authorized representative and what they have to do. The UK responsible person, in as far as we know, sounds quite similar to that. So it has to be an entity based in the UK, and they will be your primary point of contact with the MHRA. Okay, so labeling requirements. What we look at here then is from the 1st of January 2021, all devices on the Great Britain market will need to either have CE or UKCA Mark. And I'm going to talk about UKCA Mark quite a bit later on, but this is the start, the clock starts, I suppose, from the 1st of January. Now, if a product is already CE marked, it will not need the UKCA mark on the label until the 1st of July 2023 for the Great Britain market. So this is, and I'm going to be sort of saying the same information in a few different ways, but I think that it's important that we all understand the dates. So we essentially have this time period between the 1st of January 2021 and the 1st of July 2023, which I don't know what we're going to call it, a transition period, a grace period, whatever it's going to be. But essentially, it is a 2.5-year stretch where your CE mark is still going to grant you access to the UK market. So after the 1st of July 2023, you can dual label the product with CE and UKCA mark devices. So from the 1st of July 2023 to enter the UK market, or I should say to enter the Great Britain market, you absolutely need the UKCA mark on the label of your device. You can also have a CE and the UKCA mark. Okay, so market access. So we're moving away from registration into market access. And the first thing we'll talk about, like I said, market access, when I say that, I mean, I suppose, generally a certification requirement. So the first thing is the UKCA mark. So what is it? It's new. It's UK conformity assessed. Basically, it's their own version of the CE mark in layman's terms. So it's going to be used for many products, including medical devices. And of course, medical devices is all we're going to be talking about today. So it comes into effect from the 1st of January 2021, and it will not be recognised in the EU, European Economic Area, or in Northern Ireland. So it is specifically for Great Britain, the UKCA mark. So then the next thing we talk about is UK conformity assessment bodies. So these are the people that are going to be issuing the UKCA mark. So essentially the UK version of notified bodies, UK conformity assessment bodies. So unfortunately, anyone that's in the medical device business, the last 2, 3, 4 years, they've been getting their heads around, MDR and new terminology. And unfortunately, Brexit now is giving us a whole new lingo with UKCA mark and UK conformity assessment bodies. So from the 1st of January, the MHRA can designate UK conformity assessment bodies. Unfortunately, it's not yet clear what the criteria for becoming a UK conformity assessment body is. So that part has not been published yet. What we do know is that existing UK notified bodies will automatically roll over, is what the terminology says. They will roll over to become UK conformity assessment bodies. So what we have in the UK, I've just given an example here of how many notified bodies there currently are. So we have 2 in the UK for medical devices, only 1 for MDR, 1 for active implantables, 3 for IVDD, though one of those has a very narrow scope. And there's 1 notified body in the UK under the IVDR. So there is not a huge selection of notified bodies currently in the UK. I mean, they're used to going back 4 or 5 years. There used to be 5 notified bodies for medical devices. We're now down to just 2. So the certainty we have around UK conformity assessment bodies at this point is we know that the ones that currently exist for medical devices in the UK will automatically become UK conformity assessment bodies. So we know there will be some, but the choice is limited, obviously. And then another question, I suppose, that it came to me as I was sort of researching for this is, will the UK-based notified bodies be able to automatically issue a UKCA mark to their clients that have already issued CE mark to? So if you have a CE mark from SGS, for example, are they going to be able to automatically give you a UKCA mark? Now, this comes back to the fact that the requirements for achieving a UKCA mark are not yet published. So we simply don't know what the criteria are for earning a UKCA mark. So like I said at the start, there's, unfortunately, I'm probably raising more questions than answers, but like I said, I think we have to start with that. Okay, so how do we get access to the UK market between the 1st of January 2021 and the end of this new time period, the 30th of June? So I've kind of alluded to this already, is that CE marked devices, and the MHRA have made clear it's any CE marked devices, so be it your old MDD certificates or perhaps a new MDR one, that's going to be recognized by the MHRA until the 30th of June 2023. So while you will need to register with the MHRA following those new timelines that I mentioned earlier, and you may need to put an authorized or a UK responsible person in place. Essentially, you don't need to alter your certification status to access the UK or to access the Great Britain market until at least the end of June 2023. So from the 1st of January 2021, if you want to use the CE mark to access the UK market, the conformity assessment body that carried out that CE marking has to be located in the EU member state. And I'm going to talk about that in a second, and it comes back to the effect that Brexit is having on UK-based notified bodies. So that's the next thing we'll talk about here. And again, this is not new. We've known this information for quite a while. So after the 1st of January 2021, the UK-based notified bodies will lose their designation under EU legislation. So they can no longer issue EC certificates, and EC certificates which they have issued will become invalid. So again, we have known this for a while. So what it's meant is many manufacturers have moved from a UK notified body to an EU 27 notified body, or the UK notified bodies that have set up a sister entity in a European country and then transferred certification. That's sort of been happening already. But basically, any manufacturer wishing to access the EU market after 1st of January will need an EC certificate from an EU27 notified body. It's important to note, though, devices placed on the market up to this point using a certificate from a UK notified body can continue to move through the supply chain. So if you're relying on a UK issued MDD certificate right now, you can continue to do that up until the 1st of January. But after that point, you can't continue to place product on the market using an EC certificate from a UK based notified body. Okay. So the next thing is importers, and this is sort of the last section in terms of market access. So after the 1st of January, the UK will be treated as a third country. Again, we've known this for quite a while. So what's the impact? What relevance does that have? It means if you purchase a medical device from a UK manufacturer and make them available on the Irish or the EU market, you will in fact become an importer because you are taking a product from a third country and placing it on the European market. So an example that may arise is if you currently, for example, are an Irish distributor for a UK-based medical device company, if you don't alter anything about that arrangement, you will automatically become an importer after the 1st of January 2021. So why does that matter? I suppose you have to look at what the role of an importer is. It's quite a bit more expanded than, say, what a distributor would have been doing. And I guess the blue guide here is a really good source of information. And I have a link, I think, in one of my later slides to where you can download that blue guide for what the role of the importer is. So few of the things, this is not exhaustive now, but you need to ensure that the manufacturer has carried out proper conformity assessment procedure, that they've drawn up necessary technical documentation, that they have a declaration of conformity. So a lot of the importer's role involves checking that the manufacturer has done the things that they were supposed to do up to that point. And again, the remainder, there's a lot more than what I've just put on the slide here, but the remainder of those requirements, I would recommend you search the blue guide and then also the relevant medical device legislation. So be it the MDD or the MDR. The MDR is particularly prescriptive requirements in terms of the importer. So if you are in that situation, and again, this isn't new information, we've known this for quite some time now. So I would expect that most Irish businesses affected by this, they're at least aware of it, whether they've been able to sort of mitigate the risk or not. This effect on importers is not new, but is significant nonetheless. Okay, so we are going to move on now to Northern Ireland. So like I said at the start, it's a particularly difficult section, I suppose, to talk about, but if you've followed everything I've said so far, then I'm sure you'll be fine here as well. So why Northern Ireland is different? Obviously, it's because of the Northern Ireland Protocol. And the result of that is that many EU rules will continue to apply in Northern Ireland even after the 1st of January 2021. So an example of that is the MDR and IVDR are going to apply in Northern Ireland from their respective date of application dates. So 26th of May, 2021 and 2022. That's not, I'll talk about it later, but that's not the case for the rest of UK. For Great Britain, that won't be the case. But for Northern Ireland, the MDR and IVDR are going to apply going forward with dates of application the same as is for the rest of Europe. Even after 1st of July 2023, so again, that's when this new time period ends, you will need a CE mark to place devices on the Northern Irish market. So in the UK, after the 1st of July 2023, you have to have a UKCA Mark. In Northern Ireland, you need to continue having a CE mark to access the Northern Irish market. And then this point sort of raised already, but if you want to access the Northern Irish market from the 1st of January 2021, that CE mark again has to come from the EU27 based notified body, because again, the rules for accessing the market in Northern Ireland are that you're in compliance with the relevant European legislation for medical devices. And to be compliant with that, you need to have earned your CE mark from an EU27 notified body. Okay, so market access. Here again, we're going to talk about certification status as such. So UK conformity assessment bodies can conduct conformity assessments for the Northern Ireland market, but in this case, a CEUKNI mark will accompany but not replace a CE mark. The question, I suppose, when I read that was who in this instance issues the CE mark, because the UK conformity assessment body alone won't be able to issue the CE mark because they're not going to be a recognised UK or EU notified body. But also, if you have a CE mark, you can access the Northern Irish market. You don't need to have a CEUKNI mark. So there's a little bit of, I suppose I find it a little confusing when I read these requirements. Essentially, if you maintain a CE mark, you don't need the CEUKNI as it stands right now. That's what the guidance reads. Now, devices carrying both CEUKNI and CE cannot be placed on the EU market. We know that. UKCA Mark devices will not be accepted in Northern Ireland unless they're accompanied by a CE mark or CEUKNI. And again, it comes back to the point of, if you already have a CE mark, it doesn't appear that you need to have a CEUKNI mark. That is specific for Northern Ireland only, the CEUKNI mark. But I think the important point to take out of this, or the clarity we have at this point, is that maintaining a CE mark is going to keep giving you access to the market in Northern Ireland. Now, registration in Northern Ireland. So again, this is the last section of Northern Ireland, I promise. So if the manufacturer is located in Northern Ireland, they need to register with the MHRA. That's fine. There's nothing unusual about that. If the manufacturer is located in Great Britain, so if they're England, Scotland, Wales, they will need to appoint an authorised representative in either Northern Ireland or an EU member state. So if you're an English-based medical device company, you want to sell in Northern Ireland, you need an authorised representative either there in Northern Ireland or in the EU 27 member state. If the manufacturer is located in the EU, they will need to appoint a UK responsible person who will register their devices with the MHRA before being placed on the market in Northern Ireland. So if you're an Irish-based medical device company and you want to sell in Northern Ireland, you need to have a UK responsible person. Again, if you want to sell in the UK, you'll need to have one as well. So it's just that, you know, if you need to access either Great Britain or Northern Ireland, you need a UK responsible person. This is an interesting one then, where if the, and apologies, I know the slide is an awful lot of text on it, but if the manufacturer is located outside the UK, the EU, or the European Economic Area, they will need to appoint a UK responsible person unless they have a Northern Irish-based authorised representative. This authorised rep can then register the device with the MHRA. So let's say you're a US medical device company and you want to access the Great Britain market, the Northern Irish market, and the European market. The question I would have from reading this is, can a Northern Ireland-based authorised rep register with an EU competent authority? Because in that case, if they could, one authorised rep based in Northern Ireland could fulfil the registration requirements for obviously Northern Ireland, for Great Britain, and for the European Union. Now that is not clear, and I suppose that, you know, the HPRA perhaps might be able to provide clarity on this, but for a Northern Irish based authorised rep to fulfil registration requirements for the EU, they would need to be registered with a competent authority, with an EU competent authority, and we don't know who that would. It be the HPRA? We don't know. So again, I apologise that, you know, you logged into this looking for answers, I'm sure, but unfortunately there's quite a few questions that we still don't know. This is a particularly interesting one, I would say. Okay, so then future arrangements. Okay, so starting to wrap up now. I suppose nothing is certain yet. That's kind of obvious, hopefully, from what you've been listening to so far and what you know yourselves. The proposal, so everything I've been talking about, as I said, has come from an MHRA guidance document, but they are subject to parliamentary approval in the UK. So again, the guidance that is being published by the MHRA, it's not yet set in stone, but look, we have to work with what's in front of us for now. And then I alluded to this earlier, but because of the delayed date of application of the MDR, it will not be in effect by, you know, withdrawal date 1st of January, or the end of the transition 1st of January 2021. And the effect of that is the MDR and obviously the IVDR will not be automatically retained into UK law, because any European law that's in place by the 1st of January 2021 becomes automatically retained into UK law. Obviously, they can use their own discretion to modify it after that. But what it means is that we certainly know that the MDR and the IVDR will not be automatically retained into UK law. but the existing directives will be. So it begs the question then, what will be the future regulatory framework in the UK? So the directives, the MDD, the AIMD and the IVDD, they're going to be there in UK law from the 1st of January. But then the MHRA, it would appear, will be building their own regulatory framework, sort of, which you would imagine, you know, will come into effect as soon as possible, because they're saying that a UKCA mark can grant you access from the 1st of January 2021. Now, that's not that far away. So the question, will this be aligned to the MDR and the IVDR, this new UK regulatory framework? Is it going to be similar to that? Is it going to be like the MDD? We really don't know at this point. I would argue that a divergent system is going to add cost and complexity to marketing a device in the UK. You know, the UK is an important market. It's 65, 66 million people. Again, Northern Ireland, just to put it out there, that CE Mark is going to continue to grant you access in Northern Ireland. But for Great Britain, for England, Scotland and Wales, come, you know, 1st of July 2023, the CE Mark is no longer recognised. Therefore, if you want to sell in those markets, you need to follow whatever this new regulatory regime is going to be. Another question, I suppose, is, are notified bodies other than the existing UK notified bodies going to be able to act as UK conformity assessment bodies? So like I said, right now, if nothing changes, essentially you have two options, that's BSI and SGS, for issuing UKCA marks. So that's not a lot of capacity. I would argue it's not a lot of competition, I suppose, but we just don't know at this point. It's something obviously NSAI and every other European notified body is watching very closely, is will there be an opportunity for other entities to become UK conformity assessment bodies? We just don't know that yet. This is my last word on it, I suppose, is that the MHRA in their online guidance have said that they now have the opportunity to develop a robust, world-leading regulatory regime for medical devices. So certainly they're going to have something different in the UK, you know, and whatever that is, if you want to access the market, you're going to need to comply with it by the 1st of July 2023, which is 2.5 years away, which sounds, you know, like a reasonable time frame, but I think everyone in the industry realizes the complexity of, you know, what MDR has done. And then if we're going to add this on top of MDR, which it looks like we will have to, it's another layer. And, you know, we could have, I'm sure we will have further webinars discussing this, or perhaps hopefully we can have in-person events. But things like labeling implications, and, you know, there's just a significant impact to the industry if there is a new set of requirements that are significantly different from what we're used to in Europe. But that's all to be seen. You know, it could go either way, I suppose, at this point. All we can do is ask the questions. It's hard to be prepared when we don't know exactly what the answers are, but I think this is the start. And that's actually it for me. I have a few just example here of these are medical device and other Brexit fact sheets that are available on our website. We have some FAQ documents, particularly for electrical equipment and medical devices. And I mentioned the Blue Guide as well. This is a really useful source of information. So you can access that on the European Commission website. And again, you'll all be getting a copy of the slides here. That is my contact information. So I think we're going to go into Q&A, but if anyone has any questions they want to ask, please feel free to send me an email as well. So that's it for me. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, Colm. If you mind just stop sharing your screen there.
I will.
And I'll invite Seamus to come back to us as well, if you're there, Seamus. I think we all need a breath after that one.
Jesus, yeah, definitely.
An awful lot of detail. Thank you very much, Colm. And I think we do have some questions, so let's jump straight in because we're running a little bit behind on time. Seamus, I might just go to you first of all, because obviously you guys have made a lot of preparations over the last couple of years, and really just want to ask you, how has that process been for you, or are you still in the process?
We're still in the process. We have items covered, but I think there's a big fear that we haven't covered it all. Right now, even listening to the presentation Colm has presented, items like if we, as part of a corporate company, will they have a UK rep for us to continue selling our products now into the UK from January? It's an action I've even taken from this morning's meeting. Again, so much information is just fresh off the press with our suppliers. We're still continuously trying to push them to get answers, and they don't know themselves. So we think we have items covered, but we're expecting to have missed a good bit as well at this point, and that worry is there.
Okay, so look, we have quite a few questions coming in here, so I'm going to go in order if that's okay with everyone. We have the first one from Neve, and she just wants to know, will NSAI be able to provide us with UKCA? So Colm, that's for you.
Can you hear me all right, T?
I can.
Yeah, okay. We don't know at this point, Neve, whether we can do it or not. Genuinely, the only information we have is that the existing, as I said, UK notified bodies will automatically, their designation will be rolled over to become UK conformity assessment bodies. We have no idea if we'll be able to provide it. Obviously, if it's something that is possible, then clearly that's something we would be exploring. But at this point, unfortunately, we don't know. And that I recognize for our clients, that's a challenge, and that's something that we find concerning as well. But at this point, we just don't know.
Okay, so Seamus, I've one for you. In terms of raw materials, has DowCorning moved to Europe, or has B. Braun had to set up a European office? And how has that impacted the business?
For us, DowCorning is a company that would have a European headquarter and a UK and Ireland headquarter. And previously, if we were to try and buy directly from the European headquarter, we would have just got knocked back. They know you have to place your orders with the UK and Ireland. So that has been a change for them. They have always been across the continent and across the globe, but their purchasing policies that they would have had to change because of Brexit. So now we can't just place our orders with them. We have to go to the European one because we're no longer part of the UK and Ireland sales office. So that's been a changes for them. That.
Sure. Okay. So Joanna is asking, what's the point of having CE UK Northern Ireland marking then if the CE mark is acceptable and will be after June 2023? I can see a bit of frustration there. But...
Yeah, well, Joanna, you're asking the wrong person, because I have the exact same question myself.
Okay.
I think, perhaps if someone wants to access the Northern Irish market alone, if they have one or two clients in Northern Ireland, and they don't want to go through the full rigors of CE marking, they just want access to the Northern Irish market, then it appears that a CEUKNI mark, which really doesn't roll off the tongue, it seems like it will get you access to just Northern Ireland. But then, of course, comes the question: is it a lesser set of requirements to earn a CEUKNI mark versus a UK conformity assessment mark versus a CE mark? So it's utterly confusing at this point. And I think if you want access to Europe and Northern Ireland, it's simply just maintaining your CE mark is what appears the most sensible thing right now.
Okay, so the next one comes from Jens. Jens has two questions. So any update on the UKRP equals importer role? Hope that's making sense. And if these roles are not unraveled, now this is a lot of acronyms, can a MFG import to the UK without having the UKRP already being registered?
I'm glad I know Jens, so I know what he's talking about with those questions.
Thank you for that question, Jens.
Yeah, thank you. So the first part there is there is no information that they're being unraveled. So I think what Jens is alluding to, and I'm honestly not that familiar with it, is that the way the requirements have been written, it appears that the UK responsible person is going to be the importer, that they can't be two separate people, which would be a very, very unusual situation. But I don't believe there's any clarity on that yet. Then to the second question is, can a manufacturer import to the UK without having a UK responsible person already registered? So I think it depends on your timeline. So the very first, for highest risk devices, class 3 implantable, the IMDs, you have until 30th of April 2021 to register those devices in the UK. So it appears that you can get them on the UK market before that point, because that 4-month window is what they're calling a grace period. But if you're a manufacturer located outside of the UK, you're going to need to appoint an authorized or UK responsible person. So essentially you have 4 months to get a UK responsible person in place. They then need to have the devices registered by the final date of compliance, which for highest risk devices is 4 months. So you need to get the UK responsible person in place, and then they will do the device registration for you. Now, there's nothing stopping you getting a UK responsible person in place right now, except for all the confusion around whether they're going to be an importer and things like that. So hopefully that answers it.
Okay, thank you, Colm. So Carmel is asking, is there any guidance or direction that you know of that we can access to understand what the UK regs are likely to be, or when will they be published?
A crystal ball, let's say, is the best. No, I shouldn't be so flippant. We don't know, honestly, at this point, but they are going to open public consultation. So the MHRA have said that, and I guess really it's a matter of keeping an eye on their website, but they have said that this autumn, I think is what they've said, is when they're going to be launching public consultation and engaging with stakeholders on what the new requirements, what the new UK regulations are going to look like. So I don't know whether those are going to be totally public access or you have to be UK registered business. I've no idea, but I would say just keep watching the MHRA website for updates on that. But it does seem like we will be able to sort of listen in on what their thought process is before anything is finalized. So that'll be really helpful if we can do that.
Okay. They're flying in now. I've got one from Michael, and Michael is asking if a company has its customer service in the UK but ships the products directly from the Netherlands but invoices from the UK, is this allowable? You want me to repeat that then? If a company has its customer service in the UK but ships the products direct from the Netherlands but invoices from the UK, is this allowable?
I suppose the question I would ask there is, where is the legal manufacturer based? So, you know, if customer service is in the UK, is that just, you know, an outsource? Say if the manufacturer is based in Ireland and they're outsourcing their customer service to an entity in the UK, that's one thing. But and the products are direct from, so the products are shipped direct from the Netherlands, but invoices from the UK. I mean, if it's invoiced from the UK, potentially the UK is where the legal manufacturer is located. And if that's the case, then you're looking at setting up an authorized representative. So I'm not sure, Michael, if you know, we can have an email correspondence about that if there's some particulars, but I'm not sure if I answered that really there.
Okay, well, Michael, thanks for that. I hope that somewhat answers your question. Joanna has another question there. Could a UK responsible person for the manufacturer based outside the UK be the current distributor? So a UK responsible person.
Yeah, based on what I've read, I don't know that that's prohibited. I haven't read that you're not allowed. I mean, I suppose if you think now, like can an authorized rep also act as a distributor? I don't know if that's a likely pairing of roles. But from what I've read from the guidance, it doesn't seem like that you would be prohibited from doing that. But again, I'm like, and I should have really said at the start, I mean, NSAI are not privy to any other information other than what's available on the MHRA website. So it seems like the same entity could be the distributor and the UK responsible person. Based on what I've read, I could be wrong, but again, it would be just to consult the MHRA website.
Okay. And then Colm, Seamus just ask, obviously we know the 9th round of negotiations are underway, so that may well change things again for us here today with regard to, say, CE marking. Are you expecting anything new to come from that?
Seamus, have you any insights, Seamus? I don't know.
Have you any contacts in the EU, Seamus?
I suppose it's you're just worried if something changes slightly. And again, just for us, it's keeping a close ear to it. There are multiple different representatives on our site at different Brexit strategies, discussions, whether it's looking at the strategic plan for the country. There's different calls. So we have our plant director on one Brexit discussion yesterday, and again, looking at our development plans. And just keeping our ears open and getting as much information so that we can react as quickly as we can is what we're trying to do.
Okay.
Yeah, not really. I think that's kind of it, Seamus, hit the nail on the head really, is you have to be agile, I suppose. You just have to take in the information that's there. And there's, you know, I've said an awful lot during, you know, this last conversation that everything we have is just guidance, but that doesn't mean we can ignore it. Like we sort of have to look at what's in front of us now. And if that changes, we deal with it, you know, if and when it changes. But I think we can't ignore what we have. You know, who knows whether these discussions are going to change anything. Because again, like I said, that the UK guidance we have still needs UK parliamentary approval. So whether the discussion today could modify it is one question, but then by the time the UK Parliament comes to sort of enact the guidelines, so to speak, it potentially could be modified at that point. So I think it's really just wait and see.
Okay, I think we're going to have to leave it there for today. We've run slightly over. So thank you, first of all, to all our participants and for all your great questions. I hope you're feeling slightly better after that. Seamus and Colm, thanks very much for your contributions. It was really, really enlightening today. So thanks again, everybody, for being here today. And we'll talk to you all again soon, I'm sure. Thanks, guys.
Thank you. Bye now.
Okay. Thank you. Goodbye.
Bye-bye.